Welcome to the Yo Brother Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my laddie from the same mother, Mike Smith.
Where's me mom?
How are you, laddie? Laddie. I mean, I have the
Why are you stealing my look?
I have the perfect name for this episode, Danny Boy. I mean, it doesn't get any more appropriate than that. It's actually referenced in this film. So February 27th, when most of you get in this episode, unless you're part of the Patreon community, you might be getting this a little bit earlier. Yeah, so you just took off your signature 3D glasses, and I have.
Yeah.
See, we're going to talk about this film, Belfast, because it's primarily a black and white film. These actually enable you to see everything in black and white, which is why I'm wearing them now. I thought, as an homage to the film, I should have wore this for the Matrix episode, though. It seems more appropriate. Oh my gosh.
Where did you get those crappy things?
So you know what this was? I had to get an eye exam, and I have my eyes dilated, and that's what that is. So the truth comes out.
These got the red and the blue.
Yes.
So you see a little bit of color. It's just weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we get into the movie, let's, as we always do, kick off with a little bit of business. For those of you that are not currently following us, make sure that you do in the easiest way to find all things O Brothers. Go out to our official website, which is OHB as in brother podcast.com. That's OHBpodcast.com. And you can get access to all things O Brother out there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. So yeah, we did this appearance on the Rexer show and this is your buddy. Initially, you guys got connected, and then we ended up on the show. This was our second appearance. He's a big gamer. You want to just kind of briefly summarize what his show's all about?
Yeah, for people who like video games, go subscribe to his channel and check him out. He's been on for a while. He builds video games, restores them. He's a big Donkey Kong fan. For people who like that game,
doesn't he listen to the O Brother
site out?
Doesn't he listen to the O Brother podcast?
He does. He seems, he'll be playing a video game, put us on, and
yeah,
it's a great way to, instead of hearing, you hear us.
Pretty good Donkey Kong.
That was a pretty good.
It wasn't bad. I'll give you that. I know check out the Rexer show, and we made an appearance on there. He works in movie, and we're going to have him on the show too.
We'll have him on the show.
Him and Kev Gret, his co-host.
Right.
Yeah, they're good guys. We like those guys a lot. Look, I'm still working on securing a new location for the O Brother South Studios, but you can see I've tried to upgrade slightly with a
upgraded
Star Wars Empire Strikes Back poster that I have behind me there.
What is that, like a mile away? Because isn't that the same size as my poster?
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah, it's a weird illusion. I'm like, is that Doug Henning that I'm thinking of? It's an illusion. See if Kelley can pull out a Doug Henning reference. That's a pretty deep cut.
A good one.
All right, so we're getting into Belfast, which came out in November, so late in the year 2021. It tied The Power of the Dog, which we did an episode on, for I think 7 nominations for the Oscars.
I'll tell you something. Let's wait till we get into the movie first.
And so this is written and directed by Kenneth Branagh, which I don't know what I've seen lately by him. I feel like I haven't seen any. I mean, I probably have that he's been behind the camera, but I don't know the last movie I've seen him in. Well, I just mean me personally. I haven't been following him like I used to.
He's got Death on the Nile coming up.
That's right.
And the last movie he did was Murder on the Orient Express.
Isn't Death on the Nile out already?
It's coming out.
Okay, because
next couple of weeks.
Promotion everywhere for that film right now.
For people who don't know, those are Agatha Christie novels. Yeah. And in this movie, there's a present during Christmas Day, and the boy opens a present. It's an Agatha Christie novel. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but we'll get into the movie.
So Belfast, written and directed by Kenneth Branagh. Now, some of the stars, let me see. This is a little bit difficult, but we'll give it a try.
He's mostly, for people who aren't sure who he is, he's been in Harry Potter. He's been in a ton of
I
things. He
think
used
most
to be
people know who he
married,
is.
yeah, to Emma Thompson. They did a movie together way back
Not
called
Emma
Dead
Watson.
Again.
You sure it wasn't Emma Thomas? Remember, we never remember. It's always the
It's
Emmas.
one of those Emmas.
It's one of
Yeah.
the Emmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dame Judi Dench is in this film. Jamie Dornan, who I got to say, only knew him from 50 Shades of all kinds of colors
How
of
to have
gray.
sex.
You know,
How to have sex.
looking
in
good
the
with your
whatever.
T-shirt, volume 3, or without your shirt
Yeah.
on, volume 2. I don't know. I think you pronounce it Caitriona. I think you just say Caitriona, although it's not spelled like that. Balfe, and I'll take all kinds of mishaps on these
Yeah.
names because I don't know if they're right or not.
Just scroll it to about a 5 there.
And then Ciarán Hinds, who was, I had looked this up, he was the voice of Steppenwolf in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know if you picked up on that. He plays the grandfather in the film.
He's in
Did
a
you
ton
really?
of stuff.
He's in a ton of stuff. He is,
But
yeah.
usually it's foreign films.
And then the film also stars Van Morrison, who has a real big part in this film.
He has at least what 10 songs in it?
Yeah, my God. It's yeah.
I think it's 10 songs.
So go ahead and let's kick off like we always do. Give us a synopsis here.
This is
Belfast.
A quick one. This is written by Kenneth Branagh, who is also a director. He directed it as well. But he's a much better actor than he is director. This is basically his love letter to Belfast. That's where he grew up when he was 9 years old. That's when this takes place. He's a young lad in Belfast, and it tells the story of him growing up, at least in a year or so. But it starts on modern day Belfast. You know, nice museums, artwork, and its color. And then all of a sudden we change to the dark Belfast. And then it's his memories as a 9-year-old.
Yeah, it goes to black and white, and it's 1969.
Yeah.
And this is when things are starting to kick off, the tensions between the Protestants and the Catholics. And
correct.
And but you're right. Yeah, then go ahead.
He's, like I said, he's 9 years old. He's actually 3 years older than me.
Kenneth Branagh's 9 years old? Wow, damn, he looks good.
It's him as a 9-year-old.
Oh, I see. Played by Jude Hill, who we didn't give credit to yet, the young boy who is really the star of the
Buddy.
Film. Buddy from Belfast.
Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy from Belfast. So, all right. This, this was a film where the directing is really nice. I mean, it's indisputable that Kenneth Branagh did a great job at the film from a directing standpoint. With it being black and white, the cinematography, as far as that goes, was nice. Some really good acting in this film too, by really all the cast. I thought they all had really strong performances. But I wouldn't watch this film alone. Like, make sure that you have a support network nearby, because you're going to slip into the deepest depression ever watching this film.
Well, see,
it was so depressing.
And you're saying that, and to me, we opened with these, and I thought this was fitting because this really has to be through rose-colored glasses, because there's the opening shot, one of the opening shots after we skip modern Belfast. It's on Buddy, and Buddy's got like a trash can lid in his hand and a sword.
Mm-hmm.
And he stops in the middle of the street, and Branagh does this thing. It's a little bit of a show off thing for director, where he does a 360 around Buddy, starting from here. And the whole time you see his face, but the other camera is moving around him.
Right.
And then when it gets to the 360 point, you see this gang come down the street throwing Molotov cocktails and breaking windows. And that's what Belfast was in the 60s. I thought he told this story as kind of a sweet love story between his parents. Yeah.
Oh no, a love story between his parents.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of
And
love going on
he,
between them.
as a
The
boy,
guy was never there. He was always going
well,
to England to
no,
work.
but when he came back, except for the occasional fight over money, but they were fighting over getting the hell out of Belfast because it's a terrible place. And with Buddy, he loved it. He didn't want to leave Belfast. He's got his little girlfriend.
Well, all right. So hold on a second, because I think I disagree with your take on it, because I think the whole point of the film is to, again, from the way you described it, right? Starts out in color and, it's modern day
Mhm.
Belfast. And then we go back to 1969. This is when things were starting to kick off. It wasn't that we were supposed to be set in, it was kind of romanticized because it was good at that time until
Yeah.
that point. And then as the film goes on, he does this thing where every time they're inside one of the houses, the TV's on and there's some news segment of the day that's playing in the background, probably some archival footage that was like legitimate footage, I would imagine,
Or Star
mixed with
Trek.
some, or Star Trek. Yeah. There was a few of those things in there too, right? Matchbox cars and things to kind of signal, the what was pop culture at that time,
And the big thing was to go to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And
The
and
pictures.
I liked that because it was a nice juxtaposition between being outside in the black and white, but then when you go in the pictures, you see
Right.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or some film and it's in color
Mm-hmm.
and it's happy. But this in the 60s, this was not a happy place, nor I think he's looking through it as a 9-year-old romanticizing what it was like. I don't think it was like that at all. I
Yeah, but
mean, who
yeah,
am I to say? I've never been to Belfast
well, but
and wasn't
his
there in the 60s, but I grew
right.
up around that time. And even the way the movie began, we weren't, 10 minutes into it, and they were throwing bombs and breaking windows and threatening
See, it
people.
sounds like you're contradicting yourself. You said, "Oh, it was romanticized," and then you're like,
No,
"There's
it was
bombs and Molotov
romanticized. No,
cocktails."
in his head. He
No, I
romanticized it in his head.
no, he literally was witnessing all of those events. So there was not. He wasn't
Right, but
unaware of what was
but
going
if you were
on.
Buddy, why wouldn't you want to get the hell out of there?
He's
As soon
9.
as Dad
I'll tell
said,
you why. And this is a major point of the film. And the mom, played by Caitriona Hinds, right? I think I said earlier. Look, I just mashed up the grandfather and the mother's names together. That was terrible.
"You
Caitriona
have to beat her
Balfe.
to 10."
Caitriona Balfe. Well, I said the names right. They're just the wrong person. But anyways,
It's a screw
so
up.
yeah, mishap, whatever. Couldn't care less about the mishap counter right now with the way this episode's going. But she's the one that's struggling with leaving, right? The husband is saying, we can try to make a better life in England.
Right. He has to work. He has to
Correct.
leave the
And they
city.
don't want to leave. It's all they've ever known. That they talk about how, and even the grandfather says this, how the kid, everybody knows the kid on the block. Everybody looks out for him. Everybody, is that kind of tight knit community. And for some people, it's not, that's home. It's not, you just one day go, oh, now I want to leave, especially in
Yeah, but if
1969.
there's bombs going off
There wasn't
and
bombs going off.
there was
It was a little bit more
a trash can would
localized.
explode.
Yeah, but I mean, there weren't like, mortar shells and stuff coming in. It wasn't that,
It was worse. It was hand to hand kind of
Yeah, but you
stuff.
know what I think Branagh really focused on here? It was one of the biggest arguments we've had on the Over Other podcast, is he focused more on the sort of localized um events. Whereas, in other words, there was this one character that was coming around to, really bully the residents, right?
Correct.
And what was the
He
line?
was a Protestant.
Cash or commitment. I love that
Right.
line. Cash or
Right.
commitment, right? Pay up or join our side and, fight the fight and whatever. But I don't know. I kind of understood that because, I mean, you can think about where we grew up, where we grew up specifically was nice. It was the suburbs,
Right.
but
But you can't compare,
no, but I'm
this.
saying I'm not. That's what I mean. But there's areas surrounding that were, gangs and the Irish mob and all that stuff back in the city. In the city,
I
Whitey
used to go
Bulge
in,
or
I
anybody?
used to I used to go into the city when I was in junior high every day. We'd
Right.
take the subway in,
Uh-huh. In
me
the
and a buddy of
60s.
mine. This was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Not I used to hang out in Tremont Street and Boylston Street. There was nothing going on there.
I
I
need to
mean, if you
fact
go,
check that. When were you hanging out in Tremont Street?
I was there almost daily. I used to pick up the bus down the square for a
Mhm.
quarter. And me
Back in
and
my
my friend
day.
from Winchester, no, we used to take
Back
that
in my
to,
day.
to the subway line.
Yeah.
And that ticket was still good. Got
Yeah,
us all the way into
I don't think the
downtown.
listeners care about your strategic
No,
use of
but
public transportation. Let's get back into the film Belfast, which
uh,
clearly, did you like it? Did you not like it? I'm not
I,
sure where
I
you're at
I
with
thought the
this.
acting was good. I didn't. I
Overall,
think
you didn't like it.
no. In the days of which should still be around of only 5 movies. Right now, it's 10 movies for Best Picture. In the days which I don't even know how long it's been. What, 10 years since they changed the rule and let 10 movies in? I think that was the stupidest
Okay.
thing.
And your point is
This movie would not have made the cut,
of
would not
five.
be in the top 5. Maybe it's a top
Maybe,
10,
maybe.
maybe, but it wouldn't be in the top 5. The acting now, the one thing I would point at specifically, I thought the best performance was Judi Dench, which
Hmm.
is interesting because we're looking at Kirsten Dunst and Power of the Dog. Aren't they up against each other for best
They
actress?
might be. I don't, yeah, I'm not sure which
That could
ones.
spoil your 5 spot.
I don't
She
know.
could get it.
Yeah, but she's good, but she's not on screen enough. This is another
Yeah,
one where you total it up, it's probably 10 minutes.
I know, but look at her Academy Award in Shakespeare in Love.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's another one of those deals.
Yeah.
So it's not that she couldn't pull it off, but I think
But
she'd be just
hearing
as
her slide
surprised.
right back into the accent, and I mean, she was
Mhm.
the most believable character to me. Not only,
Of the
you know,
more than the grandfather? No way. He's from Belfast,
yeah, well,
literally.
yeah, he's literally a piece of furniture almost, but
Yeah.
and he was good too. I thought it was a great performance by
Hmm.
him. And the acting is the best thing about the movie, but I really think most people who were 9 years old, if we interviewed them right now, wouldn't be talking about how, oh, I remember my little girlfriend, we did a science project together. That wouldn't be the thing they would remember. I
I-
don't
It,
think.
I think it would be.
I don't think so.
I mean, those
Totally
those are the
disagree.
things that I would reflect back on. I mean, those are pretty monumental memories.
You look at people around the world that live in third world nations and that are getting bombed every day. I mean, we got
Again, you're
going on
painting
right
this like
now.
they were living at the point. This was just getting started. This wasn't
But it
a
was
full on
underway.
escalation.
It was
Right.
underway.
Okay, but they're just in one little block of this whole thing. The
Yeah, but
point
all
the,
you have to do is bust my window
the
once.
point
I'm
is,
heading for
okay,
the
that's you.
UK.
That's you. But what he's trying to paint, in fact, I'll make this point too, is he's trying to emphasize how powerful those roots can be. When you're settled in a place and all you know is that place is home and all the people there, and it's a little easier for us to say now, but at the end of the film, there's a nice moment where he sort of puts a dedication up on the screen,
Right. It's a
right? Talking
scroll of
about
three
people that,
things.
yeah, talking about people that, well, don't give it away, but people that, just were able to leave or wanted to stay, or I don't know. It's not the issue I would have thought you had with the film. I mean, at the end of the day, for me, it just a little again, it was a little thin on the story. It was a little slow. It was very much a downer. I just felt very bummed out at the end of the film. It was
See,
like
now
a real bummer,
there's another
you know.
disagreement we have is I didn't see that at all. That's how I think you should
Think
feel.
of, without giving it away, think of the ending shot to the film.
I can't even remember
You
it.
can't, with Dame Judi Dench. Okay. It
Oh, okay. Yes.
it's
Yeah.
just such a bummer,
Yeah.
such
Oh,
a
yeah.
bummer. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think the biggest thing this has going for it is the directing. It's beautifully directed. There's no question about that. I mean, there were some shots that were, no, it's not this. There's some just really gorgeous shots in this by Branagh.
Yeah. No, I think it's okay. I think some of the shots were overdone. They didn't need, it was a little overproduced, maybe over directed.
You know, what was
But
overdone was the Van Morrison soundtrack. I mean, I love Van
yeah,
Morrison, so do you. But this was even more Van
it's too
Morrison than I
much.
could handle. Yeah.
Too much.
It almost like, this is a musical. Is this getting into like,
Yeah.
sometimes that happens. It
And
starts
I
to
like Van
overshadow.
Morrison.
So it was a nice film. I mean, it's got a 87% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and audience was 92%. It's pretty high from the
Wow.
audience. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That doesn't shock me. I mean, we're just being harshly critical
But
of
see,
it.
no, I think that's the problem with the film. It shouldn't be. It really needed to be a downer film.
Yeah, I
Believe it or not, I
suppose.
think, you know?
Well, not really. If you think about, sort of how the stories of the characters play out in the end, I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's hopeful and, in the midst of, or surrounded by, or at least the backdrop of the violence and all the upheaval that's going on in Belfast at that
But
time.
but isn't it interesting, because I'm talking about how Kenneth Branagh saw this in his head. Of course, his parents look like movie stars,
Right.
right? All of our parents look like
Oh,
movie
sure.
stars when we're kids.
Sure. Well, actually, ours did.
Yeah.
They
Well,
do. Look at that
but
wedding photo. They look like movie stars.
yeah.
Yeah,
Kelly, can you bring that photo up?
yeah. Kelly, find that in the art. Actually, I'll send it to Kelly and he could throw it up there. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It just, yeah, I would probably agree with you. Maybe a top 10, but I don't think this is making it in the top 5.
No.
But I mean, the
And
ratings are pretty high on it, and it's been out since
I'm
November.
surprised. I'm surprised that it's that high.
I did enjoy, Branagh did this thing too, where he sort of references, we were talking about some of the like Matchbox Cars and Star Trek, and
Yes.
some of the references right at that late 60s, early 70s
Yes.
time period. And at one point, because I think you're right, like wasn't Star Trek in it like maybe
Yes.
multiple times
And you
or
could see
something?
William Shatner.
But there was one point at which you see High Noon, the movie High Noon is on.
Correct.
It's
That was
also The
on
Man Who
there.
Shot Liberty Valance comes on at
Yeah.
one point, but with John
Jimmy
Wayne
Stewart.
and Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then High Noon is on with Gary Cooper.
Yeah.
And he takes that little clip and then he works it into the film itself too, which I thought was really nice from a directing standpoint. There's a little bit of a High Noon sequence in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movies were definitely obviously an inspiration for him as a kid.
Yeah.
So it's
but this
not
Western kind of
surprising.
OK Corral sort of thing, he was trying to create that himself in this film too at one point. But well,
and the Agatha Christie book was kind of funny.
right.
I think that was almost a wink to the audiences. Hey, go see Death of the Nile. I mean, you could have just opened it up and had that written.
It's got a lot of different themes in this one. The directing's good. If you like Van Morrison, you definitely like this film. But I think for both of us, for different reasons, it kind of falls a little bit flat.
They didn't have Moondance in there. I think that would have been
it was a little too upbeat for the day.
Probably.
I don't know I don't think that was out quite yet. That was a little later into the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, anything else about Belfast?
No, we're definitely on different. Some of the things we definitely agree on, the acting and
yeah.
But in the scheme of things, You know, if
I
you
mean,
got Netflix, check it out.
I see him as a contender for director. I mean, I do. I do think it was really nice. If you go back and you were to see this again, I think you
Yeah,
might
but
agree with me, but
compared to Jane Campion, no.
just very different. Just there's such different films, and
Right, but you have to,
sure,
you have
you
to
do,
judge them against
you
each
do.
other.
That's pretty tough. I got to be honest. There's some really
I
striking
think
scenes here.
you know, I think she would take it from those shots, those like
Yeah. And maybe, like
Montana.
you said, his are a little bit probably more textbook directing
Yeah,
than maybe
yeah.
what she did with The Power of the Dog. But well, I don't know I don't know how this one falls. Is this like a half a knuckle up and then one thumb down? I don't even know how this ends up.
Well, what would you say to people? Would you tell them to go see it, or
Mm, I, yeah, I mean,
so
if you
on the
go in knowing the
fence?
mood, if you go in knowing the mood, right? We know we gave the synopsis, you know what it's about. It's not a feel good movie of the year type of thing,
Right.
right? But
It's not like all the kids skipping down the
yeah,
street.
but the acting is really strong. Visually, it's appealing. It's got, I mean, the music is nice. It's just a little bit overdone for my taste. So I think all those things considered, and the young boy did a fantastic job in the film too. So
Again, we have a young.
yeah,
I don't know how old he
he
is in
was
real
very
life. He
impressive.
was close to 9, but
Yeah, very impressive.
carries the whole film.
Yeah, and so we're really, we did this because we're going to be doing all the Best Picture
Yeah.
nominated films leading up to the Oscars. So this just happened to be time for Belfast. We want to pull this one out, but yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Recommend it or not? I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle on this one. For the reasons I stated, I'd say check it out if that interests you. If not,
Yeah.
I don't know that you're missing anything. But
For me, I would pass.
yeah.
You know.
But for those of you not currently following us, again, make sure that you go out to the official website, which is OHB, as in brotherpodcast.com. That's OHBpodcast.com. And yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Season 3.
Give us the old thumbs up there on the videos. That helps us get the show out to more and more people. And if you want to get a little bit more behind the scenes and some exclusive content, early access, and all those things, you're more than welcome to join us over on Patreon. We got a Oh Brother Podcast Patreon page and community starting up out there too. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for the Belfast episode of the Oh Brother Podcast. You get distracted still?
No, I'm just like the Belfast episode.
Yeah, it's the Belfast episode. Well, it's going to do it for another episode of the Oh Brother Podcast. I've been your host, Dan Smith. Alongside me, as always, my brother from the same mother, Mike Smith. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.